what I do in HVAC and the company that I work with, a lot of our contracts are with schools. Probably all of them. You know, I don't, from what I know of, all our contracts are with schools. So I'm in and out of these different schools, and I get to see, you know, all the kids and how they are and how they act in these different schools. There's definitely a difference, you know. You got some high schools where the kids act like kids, you know, they just do kid dumb stuff. But then you got some high schools where the kids, like, they so anxious to be grown, you know, and they talk like grown folks, and they walk around like they stressed out, you know, like grown folks. Um, anyway, one of the things that I noticed and that came to my mind one time was that, man, we teach these kids by what we do and what we don't do. And I don't know how many parents are really conscious and truly keen to this here, but if we think that we can keep telling our kids one thing but doing something else and expect them to do what we say and ignore what we do, we are totally wrong. You know, and I think one of the things that stood out me the most is that I see amongst the young ladies, the young girls basically, how their language is, you know, their mode of communication, their way of communicating their thoughts and their feelings, you know, especially when they get upset. And it's a style that we're very familiar with in most cases and circumstances. It seems like it's a perpetuated type of concept of idea, you know. And we just need to be more mindful. I say we need to be more mindful of how we conduct ourselves around our young people. I mean, it have to really matter, you know. It needs to really matter, you know. But the thing is that your value system, you know, the things that you value, you know, your underlying, you know, your fundamental values. That is how you live yourself, your personal self. You believe that. I won't even get particular. I say whatever you believe, no matter what the values are, you're going to live that way. And you don't have to verbalize it. You don't have to teach it per se, but you're teaching it per se. We look around and we mock and laugh and talk about and admonish and frown at and laugh at or whatever these young people, but they couldn't be who they are without us. It is the lack of participation and it is the full amount of participation. It's the examples we set, and it is the result of the examples that we don't set. It's why, you know, our young people are how they are and the way they are. You know, I used to pray all the time when I was absent from my young men's lives that God, whom I identify as Allah, whom I also would refer to as the universe or the world that we know, the energies that are in movement or in effect, the powers that be, right? I'm saying on the spiritual realm, the supreme being. I used to pray and ask him, you know, to protect and guide my young men, to put in their lives certain things that they need to keep them going a certain way, to keep them protected, because I wasn't able to be there to do that. You know, everybody lives according to their own personal disposition. But it's our responsibility, while we are not always in control or have everything to do with the things we experience as a child, as we get older and understand ourselves. As we live, we should desire to understand ourselves so that we can perfect ourselves, so that we can make better ourselves, so that we can make better decisions that are going to overall affect the young people up under us, directly and indirectly. I pray that my young people are able to experience a life and a level of joy in this world that I haven't, and that my absence proved to be more of a benefit for them than it was a disservice, because the man that I used to be would have hurt them more than the man that I am. So maybe it was a mercy upon them that I wasn't there, because I fed them a lot of things that will only hurt them opposed to help them. Well, it's just my perspective. Gerald Hassan, the Children's Enlightening Minds Enterprise, WordPack representative, a student of life. My observation and my perspective I share it freely. It's not about being correct, it's about being understood correctly, though. Peace.